Haley, this is going to be, I think, such an incredible session. Thank you for being part of this Seek the Joy summer series. You are a golden light healer, and I know that you started your spiritual journey really when you were just 8 years old. So you're a golden light healer, spiritual teacher, and you've really devoted your entire life so far to helping others deepen this connection to universe, God, source, creation, whatever really resonates for them. So thank you for being here. This is going to be such a good conversation.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Me too. So we're going to talk today about the energy of the summer season. And I don't know about you, but especially, I guess, in the Western Hemisphere, it starts to get warmer. There's a greater warmth, playfulness, celebration associated with this season. So what are you tapping into? What can we sort of expect energetically maybe from the summer months as we begin to enter this new time, especially after, the last year too?
A lot of change, a lot of movement, a lot of shifts. It's really interesting because right now we're in spring and it's May, and in May there's a lot that's coming up for people. It's quite an interesting energy to be in right now. But the reason why it's coming up for people is because in the summer months, there's a lot that's coming in. And so whenever there's a lot that's coming in, there's going to be a lot that purchases and releases and comes out. And it is starting to flow a little bit right now as well. But in especially July, they keep telling me later, mid to late July is when we're really going to start to see it. But they just keep saying change and movement and shifts and a lot of powerful energy, but inner power, which is kind of what's coming up for people right now. I know that we're releasing it at a different time, but what's kind of coming up for people right now to be released is seeing yourself in a light that is of a higher frequency, but then asking yourself, what do I have to release and what do I have to do so that I operate at that frequency that I know that I can be in. And so by the time summer comes along, you're probably going to be operating more in that frequency. And so it's a time period of allowing yourself to really unfold and be in your true divine essence. And obviously we're always growing, we're always shifting, and we're always changing. And I'm not saying the world is going to be perfect and things like that around that time, but for a lot of people at the individual level, it's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of positive changes that they've been manifesting. They keep showing me a lot of I'm a golden light healer, but a lot of golden light and almost I guess it's sunlight, but energy, a lot of powerful energy that's coming through. And it's interesting because it feels very masculine, but not saying that it's not a feminine energy, but it's a much more stability, which I don't feel like we've had a ton of over the course of the last year or so.
Definitely not. No.
And a lot of the grounding in and having the foundation laid to then build up on kind of what you want and attracting and receiving what you want.
All right. So I think the first place I want to start with kind of unpacking that is this piece about change and new beginnings. For me, when you said change, the first word that popped in my head was, new beginnings. Well, I guess that's technically 2 words, but that was the phrase that popped in my head. And I think we're really ready for a sense of a new beginning, to start fresh. And part of what you said too about what do I need to release in order to move into that new beginning? What do I need to shed? What do I need to let go of? I think that's so powerful too, especially I feel that way, especially when we're changing seasons from spring to summer. I don't feel it so much in the fall and the winter, but there's something about this period of time where it's, what do I want to let go of? What can I let go of? Whether it's material or the way I think or the way I've been processing something. I feel like I've really been feeling that myself. So I think it's really cool and interesting that that's what you were sharing. So if anyone is listening to this and okay, I'm ready to start letting go of the things that don't serve me in this way, to kind of step into that new beginning, what do you usually share with people? Where is a good place to start?
So I would say first start inwardly. And what are the aspects of the self that is not honoring what you are truly manifesting and what you're really attracting? Because I mean, like everyone says this, it's kind of corny at this point, but like
Mm-hmm.
if you're not feeling it inwardly, you're not going to really be able to receive it outwardly because you're not at that frequency. So the first thing I always suggest always is to go inward and to really ask yourself those questions of, well, am I honoring what I truly want? Am I showing up how I really want to show up? Am I asking like myself those questions of like, what do I feel like I'm worthy of? And then am I honoring what my self-worth is? And showing up in self-love and,
Mm-hmm.
honoring the boundaries and things like that. And so for someone who's like really attracting those things and asking themselves what they want to release, what, and like letting go and stuff like that, like what aspects of the old version of yourself do you want to let go? And then really focusing on even like pain points from childhood, which are usually pain points from past lives, and
Mm-hmm.
then like really shedding those, allowing yourself to feel those emotions so that they can be released. Because energy is just like it's just there, like it wants to constantly be moving, it doesn't like to stay stagnant. And so whenever we have things like triggers that come up, it's the energy wanting to be moved and to be felt so that it can be released. So
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to feel, and then allowing the emotions to not be like a slave to them, but to be like a master of them, and allowing them to like be an indication that this is a
Mm-hmm.
time of release.
I always say, and I journaled this like a couple years ago, and I've been saying it ever since, but that energy needs to move in order to be healed. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't sit with what you're experiencing and just expect for things to be released or to move in a way that honors who you are and where you are and what you want to move into. It has to
Mm-hmm.
be moved in order to be healed. So taking that look inward, and I think for me, journaling has been huge in doing that, and meditation. What has helped you to really tap in inward and be able to do that sort of, I don't know, like an assessment for yourself is kind of how it feels.
For me, it's been meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Journaling definitely helps too. And it's been like a very like almost three-step process is what it's
Yeah.
turned into. Because I actually find that even like you do the meditation and then the journaling, but then actually going and doing a physical workout to really help the energy move and leave the system is
Yeah.
really beneficial and really helpful, because then you're really like attacking the mind, body, and the spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and then it can really exit the system really deeply. So combining all three, I found, have been like really helpful.
I love that because I think it really paints a more holistic view of
Mm-hmm.
tending to yourself and your intuition and where you are at the moment. I think we often talk about just the spiritual side or the mental side of, exercising your mind or meditation and, you're tapping in that way. But this whole physical element, I think, is so important because
Mm-hmm.
we are holistic beings, we're not one dimensional. So allowing yourself an opportunity to process and move by tapping into, multiple ways in doing so, I have found to be really important.
Yeah, it's super important. And even like, especially if you feel disconnected from your lower chakras, like if you don't feel grounded or if you're not feeling like in that creation energy, like doing a physical activity and like even going outside and going for a hike or working out, like it doesn't have to be like going to the gym and doing a million squats, but like
Hmm. Hmm.
something to like really ground into your body is super, super helpful.
Hmm.
And actually helps your meditations as well, because then your mind is a lot clearer.
So you brought this up a little bit earlier too, when we were sharing kind of what you've been tapping into for the energy, this piece about being able to ground in. And it's so interesting to me because I find that the summer is when we're more active, like we're outside
Mhm.
more. Pre-pandemic, we certainly were. I have a feeling this summer will look a little bit more like a pre-pandemic summer, which is so fantastic. We're moving more, we're outside, we're with people that we love, and we're connecting. And oftentimes, when there's so much going on, we don't feel grounded in our
Mm.
bodies or in the moment, especially if you have felt this lack of stability, over the last year. So I'm curious, either what your experience has been or what do you usually share with people about this piece about being able to ground in either to yourself or the present moment? What does that look like for you?
So I think what they're actually saying right now is conscious movement. And when
Mm,
you're going through like the changes and the switch and like everything like that, like you can move, but you can do it consciously so that you're staying grounded. And I think it's like, I mean, for me, it's always going to come down to like connecting back into source and to God.
yeah.
And so, when I'm allowing myself that time and that space, no matter where I'm at in the world,
Hmm.
then I feel a lot more grounded. And so making sure you're leaving time for things like that, and leaving time for yourself, because then you're going to feel honored and then your energy is going to feel honored. So even if you're doing things that are super fun and like you're loving it, then you feel like you're honoring what your body, your mind, and your soul is asking for, and honoring what it wants you to do.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, especially over the last year, we have, at least, well, I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
I have wanted to be more intentional and conscious about my time, how I spend it, who I spend it with. So I love this piece about conscious movement. I think applying that to every aspect of our lives as we begin to enter this new season and enter the new energy and the new beginnings and the change that's associated with it is being intentional, being mindful, being conscious of how you spend your time, what you do with your energy. I don't know, to me it feels like really good and like really
Yeah.
exciting, because for a lot of us over the last year we haven't really been afforded that privilege or opportunity. It's really been about, how do I just survive? And now
Yeah.
it's like, maybe we can move into a space where we can be a little bit more intentional with our time and feel that sense of stability, at the same time.
Yeah, and what they're actually telling me, it's really funny when you're talking, they were just like, make sure you say this. They're like, don't say yes to everything either. They're like,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
there's also that, like, even if it's like exciting, like you want to do all those things, they're like, say no sometimes. Like you're gonna be like probably gonna be asked to do a lot over the course of the summer. They're like, don't say yes to everything. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
It's already happening to me, by the
Yeah.
way. Like, and I'm sure this is happening to you too. Like, everyone's like, let's do this, let's go here. And I'm like, okay, I gotta pace myself because I've been inside for a year,
I've
like
been by
I've
myself.
been by myself, like trying now to build up that stamina, like that
Yeah.
energetic stamina,
Yeah.
that life force stamina, which we all have within us. We're going to be exercising those muscles in a way I don't think most of us have. So I love this.
Yeah.
Don't say yes to everything. You can be picky. You can
Yeah.
choose what feels good to you in the moment.
Yeah. And I think that's like it's a gift about what energy we're in right now, is that I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are realizing kind of like how they want to allocate their energy. Like you were saying kind of
Hmm.
earlier, I know that's come up for me too, of just
Yeah.
even like in business, like what do I want to devote my attention to? And like, what do I want to focus on? And what do I want to create? And so it's been such a change and such a shift, because it's really asking yourselves like, what do I want at this
Hmm.
time? And then in the summer energy, it's the universe being like, okay, well, here's what you asked for.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Like, do you still want it?
And then you get to decide, like, does it still
Yeah,
feel good to you or not? I love that.
exactly.
I think part of this too is about, how do you allow yourself to receive the energy in the moment? How do you allow yourself to receive, opportunity or connection or this greater sense of change?
Mm.
I'm curious, what does that look like for you, or what do you share about that? Because I think we can go out, we can have plans with people, or we can be focused on what we want to manifest or bring in, or just experience the warmth of the season, but sometimes we have a hard time receiving. Sometimes
Mm.
it's just not innate.
What I notice in myself and with people I work with is it usually comes down to worth and
Mm,
self-worth. And so asking yourself, like, yes, all these beautiful things are happening. Like, do you think you're worthy of receiving them? Because that's all it really, I mean, we can receive anything that we want, but what it
mm-hmm.
really boils down to is, do we feel worthy of having that? And that's really the only thing that ever, like, quote unquote, blocks it, is just
Yeah.
that limiting belief. So really asking yourself, if those beautiful things are coming in, like, do I feel worthy of having these things in my life? And do I feel worthy of receiving? And like maybe even doing like a journal prompt about that, and asking yourself what you feel worthy of. And an example I really like to use is, if someone offers to like buy you a cup of coffee, then do you just immediately shut them down and say no? Or do you open your heart and say, yes, thank you very much? Because even like a little thing like that is actually a huge indication of what you feel worthy of. Or even
Mm-hmm.
like, even simpler, if you go to someone's house and you're super thirsty and they offer you some water, and you're just like, no, I'm okay, because that's what you've been told to say. But then it's like, no, they're offering it to you, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's fine. Like, you can take the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
So is it like, when things like that happen, like when you're offered things like that, like, do you kind of shut down? Do you say no? Like, even if it seems really small, asking yourself that question, because then when the bigger things come in, how do you think you'll feel about receiving them? So
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, that's been a lot of things that I've had to work through and work on, is like, do I think I'm worthy of having this in my life? And am I worthy of receiving it? And is there a fear there of the byproduct of what will happen if I receive it as well? So
Mm-hmm.
really like journaling about that, writing about that, allowing that to come to the surface and doing the necessary healing that's required so that that's no longer a limiting pattern or belief.
I think what you just shared about worth and self-worth is so interesting. And I also have to say this on my end, as you were talking about that, you were cascaded in like golden light. Like the color of the screen has shifted. So I don't know, but like it's just me if everyone else is gonna see this when we release it. But I was like, keep it together, Sydney. But I was like, whoa, like I was really like, wow, okay, that's amazing. I don't know if you have like colored curtains or something, but anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. I think what you're talking about worth is so interesting. And I love this idea about starting small. And I think it's about giving yourself small moments to take a look at that for yourself, but then small moments to build upon believing and trusting in that self worth for yourself. So, this idea of allowing yourself for someone else to buy you coffee. Like,
Mm,
I'm thinking about that right now. And I think I would probably say, oh, no, I got it. Because you want to show at the same time that you're capable of taking care of yourself. But what if we, for one moment, allowed someone else to take care of us and to
mm,
receive, that glass of water rather than worrying or feeling like, oh, am I being a burden in the
yeah.
moment? Which is, I think, a lot of us go to that space. So I think what you shared about self worth is really interesting and how it's really the number one block that keeps us from receiving or believing that we can receive, whether
Mm,
that be water or something much bigger, that we're really excited about or searching for.
yeah. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful when you can like say like admit that to yourself and
Hmm.
then really be able to receive, because that's essentially a divine feminine energy, is creation and being and receptivity. So it's also looking at what aspects of your divine feminine energy are you neglecting or maybe not fully embracing, and
Hmm.
allowing that energy to come to the surface as well, because the divine feminine energy is also very very powerful, but we've been taught that it's like not like that important. And
In
so
contrast to
also,
the male
yeah,
masculine energy.
and
Yeah.
so honoring that energy as well and seeing where that's at in your own system, and embracing the divine feminine within as well, I think is really important too.
I think so too. And what's popping up in my mind right now is what you were saying earlier about this energy of the summer invoking this greater sense of stability and how stability can often feel or just be a more masculine energy. So it kind of
Mm,
also feels like we are tasked all the time, I think, with balancing this feminine and masculine, this sense of um, stability and structure with also allowing us to receive that
mhm,
stability, allowing us to receive that structure, allowing us to receive the gifts in the moment. I think it's something we're
mhm.
always tasked with trying to balance, but I do
Yeah,
think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the next
yeah.
couple months for all of us in this new season.
Yeah, and it's gonna be really interesting because I'm feeling just like so much fire energy, and
Mm,
like when sometimes we're in that energy, we can feel it in our bodies. And so I think it's gonna be really important for people
mhm,
to make sure they're staying grounded, and to even like maybe take baths or like go to the beach and actually like go swimming so that they can like almost neutralize that fiery energy, that passionate energy. Because I also am actually getting a feeling like even if you have a business, it might really like start getting traction. Like there might be a lot of it's like a lot of movement and a lot of changes that are going to
mm.
happen. So making sure you stay grounded and you don't get too overwhelmed within those changes is
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way too. I think it's so interesting. I just feel like there's going to be so much change and it's going to be so
Mm,
positive. But then it's like
yeah.
I think too this happens to a lot of us. We're waiting and we're ready for change and then it hits us and you're like, "Oh my god, how do I handle all of this? Like do I have like my enough like self-care or trust in myself or this ability to juggle it all?" And like I will speak from experience, no, I'm not the best at when a lot
No.
comes in my way and it's all good stuff, but I'm like, how
Yeah.
do I like manage all these like balls that are in the air? And if you're
Yeah.
watching this right now, I look crazy. I don't know what I'm doing. But I think that's such a good point about balancing the energy. So fire energy, balance it with water energy. And so going to whether it's a bath, the ocean, I feel like allowing yourself to cry too and like
Mm,
just release emotion in that way too. I just love this idea of balancing out with the elements. I love
yeah,
that.
Yeah, something that I really like to do, because I'll feel a lot of fire inwardly, especially
Mm-hmm.
around fiery times. And so what I like to do is actually like to focus on my solar plexus, and
Mm-hmm.
then typically that's where like the fire energy, I mean, it's fire, right? So it's a sun within our system. And so what
Yeah.
I like to do is I actually kind of move the energy throughout my body and throughout my system consciously in meditation, so that it spreads out and it's more like balanced throughout
Mm-hmm.
my system. And then I like spread it outwards, so then it feels like it's like shining from the inside out. And then typically I feel a lot calmer, because the energy might just want to be moving again, because it's
Mm-hmm.
constantly wants to be moving. So
Mm-hmm.
that might be something else that people might want
I
to do.
love that. So basically, in order to do that, are you sitting in meditation and just visualizing the energy
Hmm.
move throughout the body? Oh, I love
Yes.
that.
Yeah. So what I like to do is be in meditation, kind of calm my breathing for a little bit. And then I really focus on the solar plexus and
Mm,
where the energy is like probably at the like most intense. And then I consciously move it down and towards my root into like the center of the earth. And then I move it upwards to my crown and up to like source energy or God
mhm,
energy. And then moving it throughout the entirety of my body. So like my physical body, as well as my energetic body, and then my auric fields, and then expansion. And then I
mm.
typically feel like a little bit more calm,
Yeah,
because then
and
the energy is
grounded.
actually, yes, because then the energy like actually has somewhere to be and somewhere to go, instead of just being in one place and then trying to
Mm.
move in one place.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just bottling it up physically
Mm-hmm.
in your body. And it can be a lot like to
Mm-hmm.
handle. And whether for you, I mean, for me, the way that feels is like agitation in the body. And so for me,
Mm-hmm.
that's a cue like you need to walk, you need to move, you
Yeah.
need to allow yourself to just release what it is that you're experiencing. So we've shared about meditation, we've talked about physical movement. If someone is more of a journaler, perhaps,
Mm-hmm.
or something of that nature, are there any journal prompts or things that you can suggest that someone use or like a prompt or something to tap into for this summer season?
Mm-hmm. So the first one that came in was, where is my energy being allocated?
Mm.
And journaling about that. And then the second one that you can do is, I'm actually going to tune in and see. They actually want it. It's interesting. That's not what I thought was going to come through. They want it to be, how can I further balance out my divine masculine and my divine feminine energy?
Oh, so on point with what we've been talking about. I love both of these prompts. Okay, we're going to make sure they're included so
Okay.
people can go back underneath and write them down and have them handy. Haley, I have loved this conversation and thank you for everything that you have shared about this summer season. I think if I could
Yes.
sum it up for all of us, it sounds like we are on the precipice of change and new beginning.
A lot of
But
change.
part of that change means you got to think about what it is you want to release, where you want to direct your energy, how you can balance the masculine and feminine that we all carry within us.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, allow yourself to ground in the
Yeah.
moment and have some fun. I
And
think
try
in
not to
fact,
get overwhelmed.
yes, and not get overwhelmed with the fun because I think we're going to have a lot of fun in store in the next few months.
Yeah, I think the energy I've been feeling from it is it's gonna be abundant and
Mm,
fun and shifting, and a lot of just newness energy, and especially for people who have been attracting a lot of like new beginnings into their life, which is
yeah.
gonna be really exciting.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see how it plays out for all of us. Where can everybody find you, connect with you? I know you have so many beautiful and incredible offerings. Where can everybody
I
find
do.
you? And then also, I know you're sharing something very special for
Mhm.
Seek the Joy Summer attendees. So let us know what that is too.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. I am Haley Cole, and I spell Haley Haley. And then TikTok is the same, so I'm on TikTok too. And then I have a YouTube channel, and I think it's just Haley Cole. I still haven't figured out how usernames work on
Me
YouTube.
neither. It's
I
okay.
don't understand it, because then it's a link, and I don't know. But you can find me if you search. There's stuff on there.
We'll
um,
link everything too. We'll make it super
yeah.
easy.
And then my website is shinewithhaley.com. And then the beautiful gift I wanted to give everybody is 30% off of my 30-day meditation program, where you get 30 meditations as well as journal prompts and automatic writing prompts for every day to go along with the meditation.
I love it. So, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with all of us. So, everyone that's tuning in, the links to connect with Haley are right underneath this video, as well as her beautiful offering. And Haley, thank you so much. I am so excited to see how these summer months play out. And thank you
Me
for the
too.
heads up on the energy. I
I
love it.
know. All the new beginnings.
All of the new beginnings.